The following program is recorded content created by the Truth Network.
It's Matt Slick Live. Matt is the founder and president of the Christian Apologetics Research Ministry, found online at carm.org. When you have questions about Bible doctrines, turn to Matt Slick Live for answers. Taking your calls and responding to your questions at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
Everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you very much. We just ask that you would continue to listen. Okay, good. Glad you're here now listening. If you want, you give me a call. The number is 877-207-2276. You can also email me at info@carm.org, info@carm.org, carm.org. Just put the subject line radio comment, radio question. I think we'll be getting some of those today because we don't have any callers, and that's the way it is. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be in Europe for 3 weeks. So we're going to be doing reruns for 3 weeks. Unless we get a couple of guests to come in and talk, and we'll figure that out a little bit. But it's getting down to the wire. So I'll be going and doing a Bible Lands tour and just giving you it's going to be great. It's going to be great. You'll see a lot of good stuff. And I've been over there a couple of times already. And I want to go there this time. And I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore, though, because, been there. And wife needs more help here because we need to be gone that long. It's tough because it just stacks up all the jars she needs opening. They just stacked on that. Can you open these when I get back? So, stuff like that. All right. Now, let's see. We have one caller coming in, and I'll give you the number 877-207-2276. Please give me a call. And that's about it. Let's just jump on. Let's get to Jermaine from California. Jermaine, welcome. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Hey.
Yeah, so, today I just had a question. I had a discussion with someone about man's law versus God's law, and it might seem a little harsh, but we had a honest debate here. Wouldn't it be worse, according to God's law, to, say, commit adultery versus you taking someone's life in a home defense situation where you're protecting yourself? Because this person thought that it was way worse to hurt or kill someone. I'm like, well, that's not the context. It's not murder, and you're protecting yourself. But I thought it would be worse to commit adultery according to what God says. So I just want to hear you kind of break it down.
Yeah, it is worse to commit adultery than it is to kill someone in self-defense, because the Bible allows for the taking of a life in that occurrence for self-defense. And here's something to ask your friend. If he thinks that killing someone, even in self-defense, is worse than adultery, then you can just ask questions. Say, what happens if you come home and your wife, whoever, what the context is being beaten, and you see the man with the bat over the head getting ready to swing, you got a gun in your hand, boom, you take him out because you can't get to him fast enough. Would that be worse than adultery? Of course not. So I get the point, but when you start putting flesh and blood on it, different contexts, then people usually start coming around and going, "Yeah, I see what you're saying. But adultery is worse than killing someone in that context. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, God bless, buddy. Okay. So a lot of people don't know there are sins that are worse than other sins in the Bible. And not that we can put them on a scale. The Bible talks about different degrees of sin. Some be with a few stripes, some with many stripes. So stealing a paperclip from work intentionally, I don't have any paper clips, I'm going to take a paper clip. That's theft. It's not as bad as murder, but both of them are sins. So there are, the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is a sin that is so bad it can't even be forgiven. Out of Matthew 12:22-32. So there are sins like that. Now, about the issue of self-defense, we do have the right of self-defense, and a lot of people don't know that. We have that right. In fact, I wrote an article on CARM about that. Do we have the, let me find it, of self-defense? And the answer is absolutely, yes, we do. And a lot of people think that, no, we're supposed to just turn the other cheek and do nothing. That's not what the scriptures teach. Okay? So, physical self-defense is permitted, but is not an obligation. That's in Exodus 22 and Luke 11 and Luke 22:36. So, if someone's attacking you for your faith, you have the right to defend yourself, but you don't have the obligation to do it. You're not obligated. There's no command in Scripture that says, thou shalt defend yourself. But there is something other than that's more interesting. We have the right and the obligation to defend others. And that's what's really interesting in Psalm 82:4. Rescue the weak and needy, deliver them out of the hand of the wicked. So that delivering them out of the hand of the wicked can be taken in different forms. So if you see someone being taken advantage of, being beaten on the street, you can stop it, then you do. And deliver those. This is Proverbs 24:11. Deliver those who are being taken away to death, and those who are staggering to slaughter. And we're to do that. Okay. We are not, however, to take vengeance. Okay, that's important. Never take your own revenge. That's Romans 12:19. Don't do that. So, if in the act you come home and there's a burglar in your house, and he's not attacking you, and you say, get out of here, and he leaves, okay, you have a gun, you can take him out, but you don't. That's how it should be. If he comes after you to attack you, he's got a knife in his hand, you have a weapon in your hand, and you take him out, because of that, that's permissible. You have that right. But you don't have the right to that burglar comes in, robs you, and then he gets away, and you see what car, you reckon, I'm going to go look for him, and then you go kill him because of that. That's not right. You don't have that right. So we do have the obligation. I had a family member who, I won't say who, was absolutely pacifist. And he said he wouldn't take the life of anybody, even self-defense. And I said, okay, no problem, if that's your position. And he says it wouldn't do it for any circumstances. And I said, what if? And he's married. And I said, what if you came home and he has got a bat over your wife's head and he's rearing it back? What do you do? And he goes, you had to think about that. I said, because you're obligated to defend your wife and take steps. So sometimes you can just tackle the person, and that family member is significantly large. Significantly large, and he's one of the kind of guys you do not want on your bad side. He can, I'm 220 pounds. He can pick me up and throw me. Okay, so like that. But those are just circumstances. We are, however, to seek peace whenever possible. And Romans 12:21 says, to return evil with good. Overcome evil with good. This is the obligation. We want to return wickedness. We want to turn it with good as much as possible. Now, I'm going to say this again. When someone is attacking you, you don't have the obligation to defend yourself, but you have the freedom to do it. So if you choose not to defend yourself and be martyred for your faith, that's fine. But from what I have seen in Scripture in my research, I have an article on this, on CARM. Do Christians have the right of physical self-defense? And I wrote that in August of 21. And the answer is yes, they do. Yes, they do. So we're to seek peace whenever possible, and we can flee to avoid persecution. And we are also to pray for our persecutors, And we're told by Jesus to love our enemies, and that to recognize that we're in a spiritual battle. All right. So again, you have the right to defend yourself, but not the obligation. But you have the obligation to defend others. How about that? Isn't that an interesting switch? You have the obligation because the Bible says that you are to defend the helpless. You're supposed to defend them. You are to defend them. So my wife is pretty much helpless because of her medical condition. And if someone were to, threaten her, I would do whatever it takes to stop them. I'm obligated to defend my wife. Now, what about a stranger in a store? What if you see, I don't know, maybe a person with a knife going through a store, threatening people, going to stab them. Well, what do? You just run? Now, different people have different answers. Me, I'm strange. I run towards a problem. I'm known for that. Something happens, I am so fast, I'm heading right towards it. So, to get in there and try and help people, that's the idea. And most men are like that. They want to help. They want to stop problems. They're protectors. So we must, we can defend the true gospel. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily with physical force. But what's interesting is Jesus says in Matthew 22:36, or Luke 22:36, he says to the disciples, "You have a sword?" They said, "No, we have 2 cloaks." He said, "Sell a cloak, go buy a sword." Jesus told them, buy a sword, Luke 22:36. And so most commentators believe that this is in the context of self-defense. So I have the statement that I say is, we have the right of self-defense, but not the obligation. Now, here's something else to think about, is that our suffering is granted to us by God. That's Philippians 1:29. Sometimes he appoints us to be persecuted. And we got to pray and see if that is the case. It may surprise a lot of people, but that's Philippians 1:29. And here's something else. We are to resist evildoers, whether small or in large numbers, as well as bad governments. We're to resist them as well. And that's out of Psalm 82 and Exodus 1, and I got a bunch of verses, 2 Corinthians 11. So what do you do if your government is oppressive and is causing, let's just say, they're rounding up a group of people to kill them or enslave them? Well, you got to stop it. You got to do what you can to stop that within reason. But we don't want to be killing people. This really is complicated. We don't want to hurt people. We want to defend others. But sometimes it's necessary to hurt others in order to defend some people. And those are circumstances that have to be weighed and examined in different contexts. So we have to also think of how our actions will affect unbelievers if we were to use violence. So I happen to know, for example, it's not covered on the news, I happen to know that Muslims are in gangs, motorcycles with weapons, guns, are going into the outskirts of villages in Nigeria. Do we have a connection there? It's how come I know about this? And they're wiping out entire villages, killing them, murdering them in the name of Islam. And the Christians there don't do anything. Now, if I was there, I'd say get together and buy weapons, and you train yourself to defend others. That's what I would teach them. I'd say go defend yourself and others. Yourself you don't have to, but you're obligated to defend others. What if you bought the women and the children who are just defenseless? The men should get together and do what they have to do to defend them. It's real simple. Okay? So here's a suggested order of action. Is pray for and love our persecutors, seek peace with them, seek a verbal self-defense, seek a legal self-defense, flee persecution, and finally use physical force if necessary in order to protect oneself and others. All right. Hey, we'll get back from the break with Elijah, and we have 3 open lines, 877-207-2276. We'll be right back after these messages. Please stay tuned.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
Everybody, welcome back to the show. If you want to give me a call, all you have to do is dial 877-207-2276. Elijah from Pennsylvania, welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, Matt. I have a question about the same guy that I talked to you about, I believe it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, about the preacher Bratcher guy. I recently found out that he's one of those people that I don't know if you've heard of this interpretation before, but there's an interpretation of Revelation 6 that where some people believe that 5 of the seals have already been broken, and that we're currently living in the 5th seal right now. And one of the reasons why they believe we're living in the 5th seal right now is because the 5th seal is about martyrs being killed for Jesus, and they say that this is happening all over the world right now, except for America, at least not at the moment. And so they say this is one of the reasons why they think the rapture is right around the corner, because the 6th seal is when the rapture happens. So they believe, we probably don't have much time left before the 6th seal is broken. So my thoughts, my question is, do you believe that we're living in the 5th seal now, or do you believe that all of this stuff is just types and shadows of what's to come? And do you believe that once the first seal gets broken and all the other seals get broken, will that be like way worse than what we've been experiencing throughout history?
Good question. And I don't have an authoritative answer or a knowledgeably devised answer, because I haven't studied that in particular in the way you're asking. But having studied a lot of eschatology over the years, I can just give you my opinion. And my opinion is that I don't think we're in the 5th seal right now. And I'm not saying these people are right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it. Because people have been martyred for the Christian faith for 2,000 years. And it's still happening, and it's increasing more and more. In fact, more people were killed for their faith in the 1900s than all of history preceding that. But that's in part due to the humongous population that we have. We went into the billions. So that's the case. Now, there's a preterist view, which says that all of this was fulfilled before 70 AD. And then there's the futurist view, that all of them are to be in the future. So I lean towards a futurist view. Now, but a good strong wind could blow me back on the other side. So, but not a full preterist, a partial preterist, which means that they were fulfilled to some degree then, but the true fulfillment will be coming later. Now, one of the things that in my mind I think is worth considering, and I'm not an expert on this, but the 10 plagues that occurred in Egypt during the time of Israel were quick. They were one after the other in a matter of days, weeks. And the judgment of God came here, then there, then there, then there. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that this is how it's going to happen here. But I see the idea of God's judgment on a nation, in this case the world, to be a series of events that occurs in order relatively quickly. Now, the problem with that view is that we can see that a lot of this stuff has been happening on for decades. So in the first seal of Revelation 6, a white horse was there and a bow, and he was allowed to conquer, and he did. And then the second seal is war. So the red horse, now I'm going to go through this a little bit because I'm going to say something that might be interesting, which I only heard about this past weekend in California. So the red horse went out and was able to take peace from the earth. The third seal was with famine. The fourth seal is death. The 4 living creatures saying, "Come," okay, and the ashen horse, death and Hades following them, etc. And in the martyrs. Okay, so it could be that these seals are within 200-year range. It could be they're in 2,000-year range, and it could be that they're going to be in a matter of weeks. And so I don't know. Okay, so I know I'm kind of being very vague. I am on purpose because I don't want to mislead anybody or say this is what I think or what. But I heard something this weekend. I was, not this weekend, but last weekend. I was down in Southern California speaking at a conference, Ministry to Muslims. Great conference, great folks. And we were out having discussions at a restaurant. I couldn't get into it too much because of the noise and everybody's talking. It's just, this is after the conference. We got talking about end times and the 4 horsemen of all things. And 2 guys looked at me and said, those are consistent with Islam. And they're the four horsemen are the four, and I didn't hear the word, the four something, the colors and types that represent the four main somethings of Islam. And I went, what was that? So I had to talk to some people about this. And these guys thought that Islam would be the like the four curses, the four things coming along: to kill, to destroy, to martyr, to bring death and famine, because they're going to just wreak havoc over the land. And we got talking about the 200 million man army that comes out of the east to attack Israel, and he said that's got to be the Muslims. And I went, well, I've never heard that before. So it was interesting. I'm just throwing more information into the mix. I haven't helped you any. I haven't answered your question any. I've just kind of talked around the issue. So, there you go.
That's actually interesting though. I like talking about this stuff. I recently saw a video where they was talking about I think he was talking about how the Jews in Israel want to sacrifice a red heifer and all this stuff, and then he had said something about the I think he said the Dome of the Rock, and I think he said that Muslims believe that that's sacred, and he said something about how if I can't remember exactly what he said, but I think he said either if the Jews sacrifice the heifer at the Dome of the Rock, or if they destroy the Dome of the Rock, it's going to be like the Battle of Armageddon, because every Muslim in the world is going to go over there and try to destroy Israel.
Yep. Hold on. Okay, I've been to the Dome of the Rock, and been there twice, and walked around it, and so the Muslims are tolerant of the Jews, in the midst of the Jews. In order to get there, they have to enter into Israel and into Jerusalem, and they have to go in. So they're very, very patient. But I walked up towards the door to look in to the mosque, to there, the Dome of the Rock, and the Muslims were there, and they put their hand up. Don't come in. Don't even get close. I just nodded and walked back. Okay, and there is an area right there next to it that is big enough to put a temple for sacrifices, and there's a lower level where they can do the same thing. Hold on, we'll come back. I'll tell you something else that's interesting there. Hey folks, we'll be right back after these messages. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Give me a call, 877-207-2276. We'll be right back.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. So as Elijah's reactivated, we'll get him on the air. If you want to give me a call, all to do is dial 877-207-2276. All right, Elijah, you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Now, I got more I can talk about, but I've been talking a lot, so go ahead. If you want to say something, jump in.
Yeah. So I just rewatched that video, that 1 minute video I just told you about, and what they said is that if the Jews sacrifice a red heifer at the Dome of the Rock, then the Muslims might attack them even more. And they said that one of the reasons why the Muslims attacked Jerusalem on October 7th of last year was because of the red heifers as well, they said.
It might be. So the Jews are preparing. They have priests ready, and they have everything that they need in order to start offering sacrifices again. They just need the temple rebuilt. So they're being very, very patient. Jews are very patient, and they're waiting. And like I said, the area, I physically have been there, and it takes about 3 or 4 minutes to walk from one end of the one level to the other side of it, before you even get to the steps, before you get up into the area of the Dome of the Rock. There's plenty of physical space to produce a temple. Now, I don't know exactly where and how it's going to be, but it's doable there. And I've been to the Wailing Wall and touched it. I feel sorry for the Jews, but, because these Gentiles coming up to their wall, and the Muslims there. It's so hard, and I was trying to be extremely respectful to everybody. But so I did a little bit of research during the break, and I want to get into more information on this. It says one view is that the white horse is the spread of Islam. The red horse is jihad, blood, where Islam spread by the sword. Islam didn't spread by love and patience and sacrifice. It spread by killing and threatening. That's how it spread. And that's well known. There's well over 100 battles within the first 2 years of 2 centuries of Islam. I have a list of all the not all, but a lot of the battles. It's a violent religion. The black horse deals with hardships, and this is what happens when Islam takes over. In fact, I remember this when we went over to Bethlehem. We went into, I think it was the West Bank. I was trying to remember, but we went into the Muslim-run area, and literally 15 feet difference from Israel to there. Israel was clean, green, prosperous, and when you went across the wall, which had armed guards there, as soon as you get in, it's desolate and bleak and trashy. And I remember that it was so stark. And I still, to this second, can remember us being over there. They treated us fine. I mean, the Muslims weren't mean, not to get everybody. They treated us fine. But I still remember looking at the area. It wasn't clean. It wasn't irrigated. It wasn't green. Their buildings were in a state of disrepair. And I watched these young boys walking just, a couple hundred feet away. And they had something in their hands. And they unwrapped something and were eating, and then they took the trash and just threw it in the ground. They didn't care. And that just stuck with me, because it is so consistent with the Muslim lifestyle, from what I've seen, that you just don't take care of what your environment is. You don't make it better. And so this brings economic hardship to them. And I see that as a result of Islam. And you go to these countries where Islam is in control, unless it's the countries that have a lot of Western influence in them, they're pretty much economically bleak. And then, of course, the pale horse is death, and that's what Islam brings. And I view Islam just as the Antichrist is a type of opposite, so to speak, of the true Christ. Islam is a type of the opposite of true Christianity. Some people call Islam a Christian heresy. And the reason they do, a lot of people do this, is because it has statements about the Trinity, it has statements about salvation, has a statement about crucifixion, has statements about Jesus, has statements about Mary, and it redefines them the way Mormonism does. It uses the same words, but redefines the characters there, and says it's the same one, but redefined. And this is what Islam does. And so it said the Trinity is 3 gods. It actually includes Mary as one of the gods. They think that's wrong, and that's not what Christians teach, but the Quran teaches this. It says Jesus was not crucified, that he was no more than a prophet, and that the greatest prophet was their prophet. So their prophet, Muhammad, supplants the authority of Jesus, even though in Islam Jesus was sinless, but Muhammad wasn't. And they have a high reverence for Mary. I think she's the only one mentioned in the Quran, because women are basically looked down upon in Islam. And of course they bring a lot of death. Where Jesus brings life, Islam brings death. And so, and I have statistics on my website about the larger the population, percentage of population of Muslims in a nation, the more violent it becomes and more death occurs. And things like that. And I have it. Maybe I'll go, after the break. Next time I'll read some. I don't know. But anyway, I'm rambling along. Go ahead, buddy. Jump in there.
Yeah, that's all very very interesting. And what was I going to say? So yeah, about the Muslims invading Israel. So like I was thinking, so if that does like happen like soon, if like all the Muslims like get together and like attack Israel, I would think that that would be a huge sign that the Antichrist rising is like literally right around the corner. Because I believe that the Antichrist is going to come on the scene. He's gonna like try to declare peace and all that stuff. And then this is going to tie into some of the Muslim prophecies about the Mahdi. The Muslims they're going to think that he's the Mahdi and all that stuff. So yeah, I kind of see it going in that direction.
Yes, I do too. Islam is like a cancer. It gets in, it takes over, and it destroys. And so I have statistics and stuff. This is from 2015, so it's almost 10 years old. I need to update it. But I can, maybe after you're gone or the break, I'll start reading some of this stuff. But it's bad. It's bad. What happens when Muslims enter countries. And I got the statistics. And at any rate, so it is one of the theories that, about the Antichrist. Some say the Antichrist might be a Muslim. And that would make sense because the Christians and the Jews would accept someone outside of their religion to be a political leader in a religious sense, but the liberals would, but not the Muslims. So some say that that might be the case. Just thinking. But there's going to be no preacher rapture, folks. We're not getting out of here for it.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. That maybe the Antichrist might claim to be a Muslim, but the guy that I follow, I don't agree with his pre-trib rapture position, but he talks a lot about end times and like the days of Noah and stuff, and I like listening to him on that. But one time I had brought up the question to him in the comment section. I was like, "Do you think the Antichrist is going to be claiming to be a Muslim?" And then he did a live stream podcast, to answer my question, and he said that he doesn't believe so because in the Bible it says in Daniel and it says in I think it's 2 Thessalonians that he's going to put himself above all the gods of the world, and he's going to claim himself to be God. So scripture teaches that he's not going to claim to be a part of a religion. He's going to claim to be God himself.
It's certainly possible. But also the Antichrist, according to Daniel 11:35, I think it is, I got to check, will probably be homosexual. And so, let's see, Daniel 11. I can't remember all these, got these verses in my head all over the place. So, nope. Yeah, no, I can't find it. Anyway, there it is. Yeah, 37. Daniel 11:37. He will show no regard for the gods of his fathers or for the desire of women, nor will he show regard to the other God. So we just look, thinking out loud. If he was a Muslim, he could pretend to follow, Allah, but really he's not. And it could happen with any political leader, religio-political leader. They could say one thing but believe another, and then be homosexual in the meantime, but not be known. So, it's just, this is possible. We just don't know. A lot of talk there. There's our book, the break, buddy. All right? So, we'll talk to you later, man. All right, God bless.
All right.
Hey, folks, after the break, I think I'll read some statistics about Islam and stuff. It'll be disturbing. So, stay tuned for a good time. We'll be right back.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. And as I said, I'm going to read some stuff on Islam. These are statistics and stuff that I did research on back in 2015, and I've been wanting to update them. But, I got 8,000 things I'm working on. But from back then, 58% of the Muslims in America say criticism of Islam or Muhammad is not protected under free speech. In Britain, it was said that 62% of Muslims deny free speech. Now you think about that. So they don't want you to be able to criticize Islam, but they can criticize Christianity, because they do. And Islam, the Quran criticizes Christianity, and the Hadith does too. The sayings and the deeds and sayings of Muhammad and others. So they're hypocritical. You can't criticize them, but they criticize you. 80 an Al Jazeera poll, 81% of the respondents of Muslims approved of ISIS back in 2015. And I'll skip some of this stuff. 81% of Al Jazeera support that. In Saudi Arabia, 92% of Saudis said ISIS conforms to Islamic law. That's 92% of Saudis said that of ISIS. And if you guys remember about ISIS a few years ago, it was bad. 38% of American Muslims say ISIS beliefs are correct. And in Britain, about half of Muslims support ISIS. Now, I'm going to talk about a certain sexual attack, and I'll just leave it at that, in case there's children around and stuff like that. And I'll be fair about this. I'm not going to say too many things. But in Norway, 100% of such assaults between strangers were committed by immigrants, Muslim immigrants. And 9 out of 10 were upon Norwegian native females. So in Sweden, this back in 2015, has the second highest number of these occurrences after South Africa, because they've taken in. Okay. In 2012, it emerged that over 1,000 mostly white young girls in the northern England town of Rotherham were systematically groomed, trafficked, and I can't even read the rest of the stuff, by Muslim gangs to do stuff. I can't even read it. I'm sorry. 51% of Muslims in the U.S. Believe that Sharia should be in place. 1/5 of Muslims in the U.S. approve of violence in order to institute Sharia. 300,000 Muslims in the U.S. want to impose Sharia worldwide. Sharia, folks, means law in Arabic, and it means Muslim law. And it's pretty oppressive. 19% of U.S. Muslims say violence is justified to impose Sharia. 28% of Muslims in Britain want Britain to be an Islamic state, and that's going to happen because the Brits aren't having children enough to keep up with the birth rate of the Muslims, which is exceeding them a great deal. And I think by 2050 or something like that, at the rate of birth, basically England will become a Muslim nation. I don't know what's going to actually happen, but we'll see. In Canada, 62% of Muslims want Sharia. In Denmark, 46% of Muslims feel Danish law must be based on Sharia. Now let's talk about terrorism. Percentage of Muslims who worldwide approve of terrorism: 61% of Egyptians, 32% of Indonesians, 41% of Pakistanis, 38% of Moroccans, 83% of Palestinians, and incidentally, they approve of attacks of violence on Americans. And how about that? Percentage of Muslims worldwide who approve of terrorism, 26% of younger Muslims in America, 35% of them in Britain, 42% in France, 42% in Germany, 29% in Spain. We have French relatives, and years and years ago they were over here visiting, and we got talking about Muslims, and I said, they're a problem, and it's going to be bad. And they said, no, they're fine people. And I said, no, they're not. I said, not the ones who really believe in Islam. She goes, no, everything's fine. They're good people. 15 years later, they came back for another visit. We talked about it again. They didn't say anything after that. They were quiet because there are no-go zones in France where you can't go if you're not a Muslim. You'll be killed. And so we have, our relatives over there. My wife's side, one's an officer, and I was telling us this stuff. So here's some more stuff. 25% of U.S. Muslims say violence against the U.S. is justified. That's a polling company CSP poll in 2015 said that. In Indonesia and Nigeria, percentage of Indonesia and Nigerian Muslims that approve of suicide bombings, 50% of Indonesians do, 34% of Nigerian Muslims. Let's see. In Britain, 1.5 million Brits support ISIS back in 2015. Global statistics of Muslim support, I already read that, 68% of I have the same information under different categories. All right, here's two paragraphs that I did research on and found out, and I have the documentation on my website of violence and stuff in Islam. But when they are 1 to 2% of a society, they're peaceful. At 5%, there's heavy proselytizing to gain converts. Remember, 5% is 1 in every 20 people. At roughly to 10%, they push for halal food. It's like kosher food to them, and pressure businesses to comply. At 10%, there's increased lawlessness to ensure their demands. At 20%, that means 1 in 5 people now, rioting, sporadic killings, burning of Christian churches and Jewish synagogues. At 40%, there are chronic terror attacks. At 60%, there's direct persecution of non-Muslims and sporadic ethnic cleansing, which means killing groups of people, with the imposition of Sharia law and attacks upon infidels. At 80%, there's daily intimidation, violence, state-run cleansing of people. When it's 100%, that's what they want. So that was from Examiner.com, and the article, As Muslim Populations Grow, What Can Happen to a Society. And then here's another article, heavenwaits.wordpress.com, Muslim Behavior with Population Increase. So this is same basic stuff. It says 1%, they're peaceful, 2 to 3%, they proselytize, they go to people who are disaffected, like ethnic minorities, recruiting people from jails and street gangs. At 5%, they exercise an inordinate amount of influence upon a society in relation to the percentage. They insist upon food preparations under their requirements. At 10%, they increase in lawlessness as a means of getting what they want. 20%, there's rioting, sporadic killings with churches and synagogue burnings. 40% widespread massacre with chronic terror attacks. 60% widespread persecution of unbelievers from different religions with sporadic ethnic cleansing. 80% state-run ethnic cleansing. So these are the statistics. I don't know what they are of late, in the past 10 years. I think have changed. I just need to do that, but I'm working so much. And you know what? I'm going to just say this. I just said it today. We need another full-time. I'm the only full-time employee. I'm doing all the writing, researching, fixing, everything. And if someone out there wants to support a full-time employee for a year or 2 or 3, contact me. We have so much to do. So much. We need your support. And I'm just going to put a plug in right now, folks. If you want to support us, please consider doing that. It's easy to do. Just go to carm.org/donate. carm.org/donate. If you have any problems, let me know. Someone emailed me and said there was a problem. And I'm trying to contact that individual to find out exactly what the problem is. But it should be working. But nevertheless, we do need support. There's just so much to do. We want to do videos on this stuff, high quality videos, and which means I have to teach myself how to do all of that. So it's a lot of work, okay? And I'm eager and capable, and we certainly need more workers to pick up the load and help out. All right, so let's go on. Violent statistics regarding the percentage of population. Yeah, this is there's another one. This is AmericanThinker.com, and this is a blog from 2015. Hammond's research, quote, Hammond's research shows that when the Muslim population of a country reaches 10%, there are increased threats of violence and actual violence, including arson, riots, and murder. At 20%, rioting and murder become increasingly commonplace. Here's another group. This is from Cherson and Molsky. That's hard to pronounce. .com. In 2011, Sunni Muslims accounted for the greatest number of terrorist attacks and fatalities for the third year in a row. So, just scanning through it. So, yeah, let's see. Norway statistics. On welfare. Back in 2015, when I did this article, the percentage of Muslims on welfare as they come into a country was exceedingly high. 50 to 70% in the Netherlands. We're seeking permanent welfare. Now, it's not to say that everyone wants to do that. We can't judge, the whole group by them. But I will say this, that apparently a lot of them just want to be on the dole, just on welfare. And I talked to someone out here in Idaho, and our wonderful government shipped a lot of Muslims into our area. And one of the stories I heard was that this is just a representation of something, the attitude that Muslims have about women. And so let's just say that there were Muslims that were given lodging and were blessed, and their way of thanking people was to demand that women come over and fix their meals and clean their houses, women in the area. And so, of course, it didn't happen, but this was some of the demands that they wanted. So, this stuff about Islam is really important, and we need to be aware of it. Now, what do? What we do is we witness to them. We pray for them. For the most part, most Muslims are good people. Seriously, most of them are really good people who want to just provide for their families and just get along, and they're not into violence. That's the great majority of people who are Muslims. But there's a significant percentage that when they really follow the Quran, that's when you got to be careful. And there's an invasion going on in Western society, all over the globe, of an Islamic invasion that's occurring. And they don't acclimate, they dominate. That's the goal of Islam, and they're raised this way. So anyway, what we do is pray for them, befriend them, talk to them, and give them the gospel, because a lot of Muslims are sick and tired of the oppression, legalism, and rigidity of Islam. A lot of them are, and there's countless accounts of visions and dreams Muslims are having in the Middle East about Jesus and coming to faith in Christ. So praise God. All right, there's some information, folks. I know it's not exactly fun, but hey, it's truth. So may the Lord bless you, and by His grace, we're back on here tomorrow, and Lord willing, we'll talk to you then. So have a great evening, everybody. God bless.
Another program powered by the Truth Network.